Hello and welcome. This is Ricky Schoonover, your local realtor and host of Denver's monthly real estate podcast, the Denver Homes Market Report, where we talk about all things real estate in and around the Mile High City. I thank you for tuning in here locally as well as from around the world. We have a great show lined up for you today, and our message today is super important, especially if you recently received your property tax bill and are in a bit of sticker shock. Trust me, you're not alone. But once you hear today's podcast, the very next step is for you to jump online and take action, because your window of opportunity to protest your recent property tax bill is quickly closing. So with that said, let's jump right into the meat and potatoes here. I was first contacted by Denise Richards. Denise is an amazing local artist who most recently was working out of the local gallery here on Santa Fe called Kashi Carey. That building hosts quite a few local artist studios and a really cute coffee house called Tannatzin Casa de Cafe. And I do apologize in advance if I butchered the name, but it's the bright yellow building there in the 900 block, right here in the Arts District on Santa Fe. So quick story here. My husband and I, we met Denise at her studio. She had done this really cool acrylic on canvas of the Joker, played by Joaquin Phoenix. And it has these beautiful dark green hues with bright, overly exaggerated makeup and a sinister facial expression against like this black background. And it just captures the Joker perfectly. And even though the colors are mostly dark, the image just jumps right out at you. Denise did an amazing job with this one. Then, with the passing of our late great Ruth Bader Ginsburg, my husband and I, we really wanted to honor her with a unique piece. So we reached out to Denise and asked if she could create a piece for us. Again, Denise delivered with an amazing tribute piece in honor of RBG. It's an amazing work of art which currently greets you right as you walk into our home. And it's very well done. Everyone who walks in immediately stops in their tracks, pays homage to the true American hero. I cannot tell you how many times I've heard, "I love that," with a nod towards this work of art as guests enter our home. So that's where we met Denise. And she had reached out to me earlier this month. First of all, thanking me for my support of the Arts District and also for producing this podcast. She asked me, "What can I do, Ricky? Our property tax bill went up 40%. Then about a week later, one of my clients, Wendy, she reached out to me. I had helped her and her wife purchase a home a couple of years ago in Aurora. When she received her property tax bill this year, again, they were stunned like everybody else. And I gave Wendy and Janice the exact same advice I will provide for you here today. So today's podcast is dedicated not just to Denise, our local artist, or to Wendy and Janice, our lovely couple, but to everyone out there who received a property tax bill this year and are a bit stunned. Okay, so before I go on here, I must send out a disclaimer. I am not a tax professional. I am not a legal professional. I am a realtor with 20 years experience. That gives me some unique insight, but I cannot give you tax or legal advice. So the advice I'm providing you here today is from my personal experience and from a realtor's perspective, not a tax professional, not a legal perspective. All right, now, each county may be a little bit different. I know the letter that we received, it states that we must file a 2023 property value protest form. So since my podcast casts such a wide net, you may or may not be in Denver County. Maybe you're in Arapahoe or Douglas or Jefferson or Weld. Regardless of where you are, you'll need to contact your local Board of Assessment Appeals. Ask them for the proper forms and procedures to lodge your protest. Don't forget to ask when your paperwork must be filed by. If I remember right, our letter said June 6th. So today's the 1st. We'll need to act fast. Now, you have the forms. Now what do? You'll need to know how to use a real estate search engine. And no, I don't mean some national brand site where you just randomly look at all the pretty pictures. There are many aspects to your home you'll need to take into an account. Things like the year your home was built, the square footage, not just above the ground, but also any finished square foot you may have below the ground, like in the basement. You'll need to look at specifically where your home is located as it compares to other homes which recently sold in your area, which closely match your home. Everyone can use a search engine and a real estate website, but not everyone knows how to find comps. A true comparable or comp is a home that closely resembles yours. Do not get hung up too much on things like the shiny new kitchen or the house that was painted, bright pink, or everyone in the neighborhood knows, that the house that had some structural issues, or the one that has the ugly yard. None of those things really have all that much weight when it comes to property taxes or values. Things that matter are more leaning towards the year built, the square footage, the number of bedrooms and bathrooms can be a factor. If your home has a 2-car garage, look for other homes that were built in the same years as yours, maybe plus or minus 5 years. And then giving you a 10-year window, find homes with similar bedrooms, bathrooms, and also have a 2-car garage. Now, another word of caution, homes that are currently being offered for sale, those don't count. Homes that are currently pending, or also known as under contract, those are not comps for this purpose. Only homes which have recently sold in your area and the homes that closely match your home's configuration and age. I'll tell you, in the case of Wendy and Janice, the tax bill was somewhere around $630,000. That is where the county feels their home's value is. And I ran the comps for them, and I sent them a list of recent sales. And believe it or not, the tax assessment was not all that far off. The value of their home is, pushing $600,000. Maybe not quite there yet, but if I were listing their home, I would probably suggest they list it for somewhere right around $575,000. And they purchased the home for about $100,000 less than that a couple of years ago. So in their case, they could take the comps I sent them and file a protest asking to be lowered to the $575,000 range. Now, I'm not sure how much savings that would get them, from $630,000 valuation to a $575,000 valuation, but it is a pretty significant number. I mean, it's $55,000 lower than what they're currently assessed at. I'm not sure how much savings that will net, but it's worth filing and seeing what the county says. But that is the advice I can provide. Pull comps, file your protest before your deadline, and make sure you are ready to provide those comps. Comparable sales which have recently closed, I'd say any home that has been sold within the last 6 months or less should be valid, and as close to your home as possible. You're going to want to provide at least 3 to 4 comps that are lower than your assessment. If you cannot find 3 or 4 homes that are very much like yours that have sold for less than yours, then I think your tax assessment protest is going to be a challenge. I've heard some counties are more willing than others to budge on this. It really depends on how strong of a case you build with finding the right comps that will be accepted. I've heard some people have had luck just because they put forth the effort. The taxes were lowered a little bit. I've also heard cases where the county wasn't willing to budge. So my best advice is to make sure the comps you use are actual comps and will help you make your case that your home is not worth what the county says it's currently worth. Okay, before I get off the subject, I want to explain how we got to this place. It comes down to the pandemic. When the government was frozen in place and not wanting to make any major financial moves and fears the pandemic was going to cause undue stress in an already fragile economic situation. This is why we had those interest rates that were held far too low for far too long. They also did not really assess property values over the last couple of years. So this year, just like the Feds raising the interest rates consecutively over the course of this past year, the governments are trying to play a bit of catch up with property value assessments. So let's close out this subject on a high note. The real estate market is pretty strong right now. If you've listened to my podcast around the holidays, maybe 6 months ago or so, I was bracing you for impact. I was worried the rate hikes were going to crush the market. I was telling you to be thinking ahead and not wait till you receive that pink slip or otherwise get laid off, and then not be prepared ahead of time with your options. During that time, we were hearing of banks failing, tech jobs were being lost by the thousands, and I had 2 personal friends that had recently also been laid off. So I was bracing for the worst. However, I have met my lender partner, Jaxanne Riggs at the Mortgage Network, and she was seeing quite a lot of strength in her business. Even though the volume was down, the activity she was seeing was pretty fierce. Then just 2 weeks ago, I was out with one of my clients looking for a home, and we experienced a very competitive market with homes being sold in just that first weekend that they were launched, and the prices were being competitively bid up, even $60,000 to $80,000 above the list price. Now, the feds have indicated the rate hikes, at least for now, are on pause. They are sort of contemplating if they're going to raise rates again. But buyers have come out of the woodwork. We wrote 3 offers over the course of that past weekend, and finally, on our 3rd attempt, we won the bidding war. So what's driving this market? I keep seeing these headlines that sellers are not really putting their houses on the market like last spring. Really? Because when I look at the inventory for last May of 2022, we had just a little less than 16,000 listings that month. And then when I look at the statistics for this last month, this May 2023, we had only slightly less listings with over 15,000 active listings. So that's less than 1,000 listings difference. There are almost the same number of active listings this month as in May a year ago. So inventory is not really the issue. It's darn near the same this year for the same month as last year, the same month. Now let's look at the prices. The median prices for last year for the month of May was right around $580,000. And for this month, we were at a median sales price of $550,000. So we're only talking $30,000. So we see just a slight drop in prices. It's less than 5%. So here we are. Same amount of inventory as last year. Interest rates, are now right around 6.5% to 7%. The 2 factors that have changed when we compare this past May 2023 with last year's May 2022, I find 2 major changes in the stats. One is days on market, where last year the average was about 14 days, whereas this May 2023, we're seeing an average of about 34 days on market. So in general, homes are sitting on the market almost twice as long. Remember, that's an average. Some homes are selling quickly while others linger. The next stat, a major difference, is the sheer number of sales. In May 2022, we sold over 9,600 homes, whereas in this past May 2023, we sold just shy of 7,000 homes. So, you are not seeing much of a drop in prices. You are not seeing a huge swing either up or down in inventory. And we are seeing that homes that are priced right and that are professionally staged, or at least professionally presented, are selling quickly. Others, where they're not professionally presented, they're taking longer to sell. You are still seeing homes overall staying on the market longer than the same time last year. And we are seeing less volume in sales, with about 1,600 less deals for the same month as last year. Bottom line, if you were waiting for doomsday, it's not here. In fact, the market is picking up steam, not losing it. The home ownership train may be pulling further away from those who are waiting on the sidelines. Wow, we covered a lot of ground in today's podcast. I sure hope you enjoyed listening to the Denver Homes Market Report each month. Now would be a great time for you to hit that subscribe button. We talked about how to fight your property taxes. We talked about what's driving today's market. We found out that price drops we saw late last year did not sustain. And in fact, the market is gaining strength. Buyers have jumped back into buying homes, and sellers, well, if you want top dollar, you want to sell in a timely manner, a professional home staging very well may be the key to your success. On that note, if you're thinking of selling your home, give me a call, 720-688-5110. And if you're a buyer, same thing, give me a call, but be ready. Be ready to really scour the market. And if you find a good home, there's a good chance other buyers are also going to like that home. It's just as important as ever to have all your financial ducks in a row, and I can help you get there. This is, once again, Ricky.schoonover of Mode Denver Real Estate. You have been listening to the Denver Homes Market Report. Feel free to give me a call with any of your real estate related questions, 720-688-5110, or visit me on the web at www.denverhomesmarket.com. I hope you'll tune in to the first Thursday next month.